Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Time flies. I don't even know what day it is sometimes. Well, thank you, Pete. And so, like Pete said, my name is Shakirah Forde. I am a licensed clinical therapist and the founder of Georgia Sky Counseling. And a little bit about me is I'm just a girl from Harlem. And I lost my mother before the age of 13 and became a ward of the state. And because of that, that drove my purpose in life. And just like my personal self, my business has also evolved. So where it started off as primarily psychotherapy private practice, it's now a organizational leadership development firm. Because over the course of my career and my personal life, I realized that the journey towards purpose stems directly from pain, and sometimes early pain. And that pain in the beginning creates direction, right? Whether subconsciously or unconsciously. It becomes the thing that drives you. But at some point, it can also become tension and friction. And that's why conscious leadership is really important to me. Because if you choose to take on a role that leads people and impacts people, self-awareness is important. Knowing your drives, your limitations, and of course, your purpose. A good question that Melissa brought up to ask yourself throughout that process is, who am I? And I know I've asked myself that over and over again. I know many of you have asked that, and I hope you continue to do so. Not because one day we'll finally settle on an answer, right? Because we're ever changing, but because the role of self-evolution simply asks us to continue to ask it. Because the exploration of that question alone leads to curiosity, it leads to insight, it leads to opportunity, like today. In my own process of asking that question, I realized that my life is changing in really foundational ways. I started to experience things like depression, unfulfillment, dissatisfaction, lack of motivation, all while living the life I worked so hard to create, right? It kind of didn't make sense. How could I be so unfulfilled or unsatisfied when I got all the things I worked for? Those were the first signs and symptoms that my identity was shifting, that my old identity was cracking. And instead of that being my breakdown, it became my breakthrough. So how do you move through it? We only have a short amount of time today, so I wanted to leave you with a few concrete things that you could use to start to shift if you feel like your old identity is starting to crack. The first thing you can do is write a one-page leadership autobiography. Psychologist Dan McAdams' research on narrative identity shows that when you write a story of how you became who you are, we create active meaning making in our brain. And that restructures how we see our patterns. So it's not journaling, right? But it's a structured one-pager asking yourself this: what experiences have shaped how you lead? And what did you decide about yourself because of it? That single question starts to surface beliefs driving your behaviors. The second thing is one of my favorite things that I do actually regularly, and that's to do an audit against your actual calendar. So you can take out your calendar, whether it's a physical calendar or a digital calendar. And I want you to remember that one driver of identity friction in high achievers, which all of us seem to be today, is the gap between our stated values and how we actually spend our time. So pull out your calendar and ask yourself, over the past 2 weeks, how you spent your time, does that match who you say you are, or does it not? And where it doesn't, that's your data. That's where evolution is asking you to do something different. The last thing you can do is name your pattern out loud to someone you trust. Neuroscientist Stephen Porges' Pagovalgal research shows that naming a pattern in the presence of someone you feel safe in a relationship with is one of the most effective ways to start shifting it. So think about whatever pattern you experience when you feel unsafe as a leader. I know for me, sometimes it could be avoidance, people pleasing, or my favorite, overworking, right? Oh, I didn't do too much today, so I'll do 30 things tomorrow. Naming this out loud to someone you trust, to hold without judgment, can start to loosen that grip. I believe self-discovery is parallel to exploring the meaning of life itself. So my only encouragement today is to stay curious. Thank you.